Hey there, and welcome back to another video. My name is Matt Shell, and this is Thousand Ant. In this video, I want to talk about the idea of when is it a good idea to invest in marketing your game, and when is it not a good idea. Let's get started. So this was an idea that was prompted by a blog post from ADN, who is the developer of a game called SNKRX, which you can get on Steam. I recommend it. It's an interesting game, an interesting example of a kind of a creatively designed small game. And actually small games are kind of part of the strategy that he advocates for indie developers, which I think is interesting and provocative. Generally speaking, his writing is pretty interesting and provocative. He's clearly someone who is pushing against consensus in many areas, which is what I think makes it interesting to talk about. So in this case, this kind of jumped out at me because I think it is a kind of anti-consensus idea, which is correct in many ways and is worth kind of thinking about. And I think just generally speaking, as you're looking at all of this kind of indie game development advice, trying to hold kind of conflicting ideas in your worldview is a really good practice. It's just generally a good practice in terms of thinking and kind of your philosophy of the world, is being able to say, yeah, both of these ideas are kind of against each other and they're both kind of right in interesting ways. And so the kind of predominant received wisdom is you have to market your game, market your game, market your game, market your game. Invest 50% of your efforts in marketing, right? 50% development, 50% marketing. That's what Blizzard does. That's what these big companies do in terms of their budgets and so on. I think that idea is kind of largely right in many ways. However, there's another kind of opposite perspective, which is presented here, which is that when you are in the early stages and when you are making games that are kind of marginal in terms of quality, that investing in marketing is a poor use of time, and that instead you should invest in improving your skills and simply pushing as hard as you can to get better and make better games, right? And that there is a kind of a point in the process when marketing your games, because they're kind of at a low level of quality, is not a good idea, because getting more eyeballs on it isn't what's needed. Actually investing to improve the quality level is what's needed. I think this is very interesting, and it points us to an important kind of business idea, which is the idea of opportunity cost, right? And put shortly, it means that you can't do everything, right? You have to pick where you're focusing your energy and trying to create pressure, right? So if you push a little bit in a lot of directions or in every direction, you basically go nowhere. But if you pick one direction and push hard, you can actually make progress and kind of apply some pressure on that one direction, on that one point. So in this case, the idea is you should put your limited resources into improving game quality as opposed to getting more attention on the things that you are making, with the kind of base assumption that there is room for improvement in terms of quality. And this is, of course, a little poke for our egos, right? Because we always think, no, my game is objectively amazing. And of course, quality is a given, right? I'm making something great. But that's actually probably not true, and that's definitely not true for a lot of early stage indie developers, even experienced indie developers. One of the things that is kind of the nature of making games with small, independent, low budget teams is that in many measures of quality, they're going to be bad, right? And what we just hope is that there's some single kind of spark of creativity or unique perspective or kind of quirky worldview that outweighs those objective kind of dimensions where the game is qualitatively weak. I want to just read a little piece from this article, and I'll of course link it in the description. But basically what he writes is, you should think of marketing as a multiplier on a game's base quality. If the base quality level is high, then optimizing for marketing is the thing to do that makes the most sense. But very few indie devs are making quality games, right? I'm just opinionating here. That's a big assumption, but I think it's kind of uncomfortably true in many cases. And so that's not the thing they should focus on. I'm definitely not making games of high base quality, as SNKRX just looks like garbage. And most games I'll release in the near future will similarly also look like garbage. I actually think that's not true. There's a little bit of false modesty here. The game looks really simple, but it actually is kind of stylish and I think actually looks appealing. So take that for what you will. So I really don't need to worry about marketing that much because there are much more solid gains to be had elsewhere. For instance, screen composition. And he goes into talking about how laying out your screens better and kind of certain measures of visual appeal are easy ways to improve. And I think it's interesting. So I'm not going to say that this is right or the other idea is right. I think it's more of an interesting kind of counter perspective and complicating perspective and a lens for you to look at your own situation through and think, am I at the point where I'm making a game of high enough base quality that showing it to more people is going to be a high multiplier on sales or a high return on my investment of effort, right? I think that's really the key question. Is the most important thing here to show this to more people, or is it more important to pour that time and energy into just making it a better product and then doing a few low effort marketing things like posting on Reddit or posting on Twitter or whatever it is, right? Putting it into places where it has a chance to gain attention if it is eye-catching and appealing, right? So this is an interesting idea that we're gonna focus on quality and then just kind of throw it out there in a few places where it has a chance to bubble upwards if people like it. But if people don't like it, we're not gonna spend time rolling the boulder up the hill, grinding out a lot of high effort marketing activities like making YouTube videos when we have something that is not in and of itself very appealing, right? So there's not like a clear sense of advice in this video, but more just a kind of a complicating perspective to say, hey, look at your own situation. Are you in a place where you're really going to get a high return on your marketing? Or are you in a place where you should actually take that and invest it in the base quality of your games? As always, I'm really interested to hear your opinions. Drop a comment down below. Drop a like on the video for the algorithm. And if you're not already subscribed and you're enjoying the videos, why not, right? Please consider doing so. We are still working on our upcoming course. To get notified of when the beta becomes available, join the Level 2 monthly newsletter. I'll actually put a link to ADN's newsletter in that this month because I think it's a good one. You'll get notified when the beta opens and you'll receive monthly emails from this channel and from our partner channel, Infallible Code. Me and Charles sit down and write those emails once a month. So check those out. And as always, thanks so much for watching and I'll see you in the next video.